get ready because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of whole grains.
Whole grains.
But we're not just talking about the basics here. Like, whole grains are good for you.
Right.
We all know that.
Yeah.
We're going way deeper.
Absolutely.
And to help us out, we're going to be dissecting a really fascinating scientific paper.
Okay.
It's called Protracted Nutrient Release by Whole Grains.
Interesting.
By Dr. Lev Neymotin.
Love it.
And let me tell you, this paper has some seriously cool insights.
I know. I got to read it before this, and I was so excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
It really is.
Like, imagine if your food acted like a time-release capsule.
Oh, interesting.
You know, delivering energy and nutrients steadily throughout the day.
I like it.
Instead of like a quick burst and then you crash.
Yeah.
Turns out,
Yeah.
that's exactly what whole grains do.
It's true.
Pretty cool, huh?
It's so cool.
So, to kick things off, Dr. Neymotin in his paper really emphasizes this key difference between whole and crushed grains.
Right.
It all comes down to structure, right?
Totally.
Whole grains have that outer layer, the bran,
The bran, yeah.
still intact.
Like a little suit of armor,
It is like armor.
protecting all the good stuff inside.
All the good stuff, exactly.
Yeah, and that bran,
Yeah,
it's not just for show.
right.
It actually acts as a physical barrier,
Okay.
controlling the rate
Uh-huh.
at which your body can access those nutrients.
It's amazing.
I know.
So it's like, it's metering it out. It's like
Totally.
giving it to your body little by little.
Think of it like a slow release medication.
Oh.
Yeah. Like carefully metering out the dosage over time.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
And then on the flip side,
Yeah.
processed grains are like that quick dissolving pill that
Oh.
hits your system all at once.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got this slow release action going on with whole grains. And one of the first places we can really see this
Okay.
is in how whole grains impact our blood sugar.
Blood sugar. Yeah.
Dr. Neymotin, he cites this study in his paper
Okay.
where participants who ate steel-cut oats
Steel cut.
experienced significantly lower blood glucose spikes
Interesting.
compared to those who ate the same amount of calories from instant oatmeal.
Oh, wow.
And we're not talking a small difference here.
Yeah.
We're talking a 50% reduction
50%.
in peak blood sugar levels.
That's huge.
Yeah, pretty significant.
That's a huge difference.
So this is where it gets really interesting when we start talking about the types of fiber in whole grains.
Okay.
Because we're not just talking about, fiber is good for you.
Yeah. There's nuance here.
There's nuance, exactly.
Yeah.
Whole grains contain a mix of soluble and insoluble fibers,
Yeah.
each playing a distinct role.
They each have their job to do.
They do, yeah.
It's like a little team.
They're a little team working together.
They're working together.
So, for example, beta-glucan,
Beta-glucan.
which is a soluble fiber, and it's abundant in oats,
Oats.
has been shown to directly slow down glucose absorption
Interesting.
in the small intestine.
Oh, wow.
So that's a key part of why those steel-cut oats perform so well in that study.
So it's like beta-glucan is the traffic cop
Yes.
saying, hold on, sugar, slow
Exactly.
down.
You're not going anywhere fast.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if processed grains don't have this bran armor,
Right.
does that mean they're basically devoid of fiber?
Well, not completely devoid.
Okay.
But yeah, significantly reduced.
Okay.
And that's where the trouble starts.
Right.
When you take away the bran, you're stripping away a major source of both soluble and insoluble fiber.
Okay.
So you're not only missing out on that blood sugar regulating effect,
Right.
but you're also shortchanging your gut microbiome.
Right. We can't forget about those trillions of bacteria
Oh, they're so important.
that living in our gut.
Our little buddies.
Yeah, those little guys are like our personal health squad,
They really are.
and they rely on fiber to thrive.
Yes, they love fiber.
So how does that work with whole grains?
So whole grains,
Yeah.
particularly those rich in a type of fiber called prebiotics,
Prebiotics, okay.
act like fertilizer for beneficial bacteria.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like bifidobacteria
Okay.
and lactobacilli.
Got it.
And these guys, they're like the all-star players
Yeah.
in your gut microbiome.
Right.
They promote everything from healthy digestion
Wow.
to a strong immune system.
So let me just recap to make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
Yeah.
Whole grains with their intact bran
Right.
provide this slow and steady release of nutrients,
Uh-huh.
thanks in part to that powerful duo of soluble and insoluble fibers.
That's right.
And on top of that, they're feeding the good bacteria in our gut,
Exactly.
which leads to a whole cascade of positive effects.
That's the amazing thing about whole grains.
It is amazing.
It's like this domino effect.
Yeah.
They have so many benefits.
Pretty impressive.
It really is. And we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, there's so much more to learn.
Okay, well.
And the next part of our deep dive,
Right.
we'll explore how this slow release mechanism impacts more than just blood sugar.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. We'll also uncover the link between whole grains and reduced risk of chronic diseases.
That sounds fascinating. Can't wait.
It is.
All right, well, we'll be back after a quick break. So we've uncovered this whole idea of whole grains acting like time-release capsules.
Yeah. Tiny little time release capsules.
Carefully releasing nutrients thanks to their bran armor and all that fiber power.
That's right.
One thing that really jumped out at me in Dr. Nemotin's paper
Okay. Yeah.
was how this slow release action affects way more than just our blood sugar.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's like this domino effect, you know?
Totally.
It seems to influence all these different aspects of our health.
Yeah. It's a great observation. It's easy to get caught up in the blood sugar conversation.
It is.
But whole grains, they really do have far-reaching implications.
They do.
For instance, let's talk about appetite regulation.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how, like, a meal that's heavy on refined carbs kind of leaves you feeling hungry again pretty quickly?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like my stomach is saying, wait, is that all there is?
Yeah, exactly.
Like an hour later.
Like you're ready for round 2 already?
Exactly.
That's because those refined carbs, they digest so quickly.
Okay.
Leading to those rapid spikes and dips in blood sugar.
Right.
And as a result, you get those, like, nagging hunger pangs.
Those pesky cravings.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas whole grains, with their slower digestion and that sustained energy release, they help you feel full and satisfied for longer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about avoiding that energy crash after a meal.
Right.
But also about keeping those cravings at bay.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah, can make a big difference.
Now, Dr. Nemotin also mentioned something about whole grains and inflammation.
Oh, yes.
Could you talk a bit more about that?
Absolutely. Chronic inflammation.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sneaky culprit behind so many health problems.
Right.
And while refined carbs can actually contribute to inflammation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whole grains seem to do the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
How do they do that?
Well, it's likely a combination of factors.
Okay.
Remember those short-chain fatty acids we talked about?
Yeah.
The ones that are produced when fiber ferments in the gut?
Right.
Well, some of those,
Okay.
like butyrate,
Butyrate.
have potent anti-inflammatory properties.
Interesting. So it's like they're sending out these little peacekeepers
Yeah, I like that.
to calm things down in the gut.
Exactly.
But what about beyond the gut?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Does this anti-inflammatory effect extend to other parts of the body?
You know, research suggests it might.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Studies have linked higher whole grain intake to lower levels of inflammatory markers in the blood.
Wow.
It's still an evolving area of study,
Got it.
but it's a fascinating connection.
It is. It really adds another layer to this whole grain story.
For sure.
Now, speaking of fascinating connections, Dr. Nemotin's paper hinted at a potential link between whole grains and heart health.
Heart health.
I know fiber is often touted for its cholesterol-lowering abilities.
Right.
But is there more to it than that?
You know, there could be.
Okay.
Besides fiber's role in cholesterol management, whole grains are packed with other heart-healthy nutrients, like magnesium and potassium.
Right. And remind me why those are so important for our heart.
Sure. So magnesium plays a key role in regulating blood pressure.
Okay.
And potassium helps counteract the negative effects of sodium.
Right. That other culprit in blood pressure problems.
Exactly. So by providing these nutrients, whole grains contribute to a more balanced cardiovascular system.
So it's amazing how all these pieces fit together. It makes you wonder, with all these benefits, why don't we hear more about these other aspects of whole grains?
That's a great question.
You know, beyond just blood sugar control,
Yeah.
like all these other things we just talked about.
Right.
It's fascinating.
Perhaps the blood sugar connection is just easier to explain
Okay.
and measure in studies.
That makes sense.
But as research continues,
You bet.
I think we'll see a more holistic understanding.
I hope so.
Yeah, of how whole grains contribute to overall well-being.
Yeah, it's clear these humble grains.
They are humble, aren't they?
They are.
But they're mighty.
They are packing a serious nutritional punch.
That's for sure.
But I'm curious.
Okay.
Is there such a thing as too much of a good thing when it comes to whole grains?
That's a really valid point.
Okay.
As with anything.
Yeah.
Balance is key.
Right.
So while whole grains are incredibly beneficial, they shouldn't be the only thing on your plate.
Right, of course.
It's important to have a varied diet.
Okay.
Focus on fruits and vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats.
It's about that balance.
It is. It's all about balance.
So it's not about turning into like a whole grain fanatic.
Right. Exactly.
But about incorporating them thoughtfully.
Yeah, thoughtful.
Into a well-rounded approach to eating.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
Now, speaking of incorporating whole grains.
Okay.
Dr. Nemoten's paper actually dives into some really fascinating specifics.
I love this part.
About different types of whole grains and their unique nutrient profiles.
They all have their own little personalities, don't they?
They do. They do.
It's fun to learn about.
All right, well, let's dive into that world.
Let's do it.
So we've journeyed through this intricate world of whole grains.
It's a fascinating world, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
We've talked about their slow-release magic.
Right, like those little time-release capsules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The power of those different types of fiber.
Soluble. Insoluble.
Exactly.
They're all working together.
And then we saw how they can impact everything from appetite to inflammation.
It's amazing how much they can do.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, in his paper, Dr. Nemoten takes us even deeper into the realm of specific grains and like their unique nutritional personalities.
I like that, their personality.
It's like they each have their own little superpower.
They do.
So, for example, let's consider quinoa.
Quinoa, yeah.
Often hailed as a complete protein source.
It's a superstar.
It is.
Yeah.
That means it contains all 9 essential amino acids.
That our bodies need.
And that our bodies need but can't produce on their own.
Right.
Exactly. Is that a big deal? Right.
It is a big deal.
Especially for those following a plant-based diet.
Absolutely.
It's like quinoa saying, hey, I got all your amino acid needs covered.
It's got you covered.
It does. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But what about some of the other players in the whole grain lineup?
Oh, there are so many good ones.
I know. Yeah. What unique benefits do they bring?
Well, let's take barley, for instance.
Barley. Okay.
This ancient grain is a true champion when it comes to beta-glucan.
Oh, right. That soluble fiber we were talking about earlier.
That helps regulate blood sugar.
Yep.
In fact, barley has even higher levels of beta-glucan than oats.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone's really focused on managing their blood sugar, barley might be a good option to consider.
It's a great option.
Now, I've always been kind of intrigued by farro.
Farro, oh yeah.
That nutty tasting grain.
It's delicious.
That seems to be popping up everywhere these days.
It's having a moment.
It is. Yeah. What's the story with farro?
Well, farro is a great source of protein and fiber.
Okay.
But it also stands out for its mineral content.
Okay.
It's particularly rich in iron.
Iron. Oh, wow.
Which is essential for oxygen transport throughout the body.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
You know, iron deficiency is such a common concern these days.
It is.
So having another tool in the toolbox, so to speak,
absolutely,
is always helpful.
Yeah.
Now, I got to make a confession.
Okay.
When I think of whole grains, brown rice is often the first thing that comes to mind.
It's classic.
It is. It's like the classic whole grain staple.
It's reliable.
But does it have any unique bragging rights?
Oh, interesting question.
Compared to its other whole grain cousins.
You know, brown rice is certainly a solid choice.
Okay.
It's a good source of fiber, magnesium, and manganese.
Manganese. And what does manganese do?
So manganese is a mineral that's involved in bone health and metabolism.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, but here's something interesting about brown rice.
Okay.
It has a relatively high content of gamma-oryzanol.
Gamma-oryzanol, wow.
It's a mouthful, I know.
It is. And what does that do?
Well, emerging research suggests
that
gamma-oryzanol might have antioxidant and cholesterol-lowering properties.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is.
So it sounds like there's a lot more to these whole grains than meets the eye.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about picking any whole grain. It's about really considering your individual needs.
Your goals.
Your goals, exactly.
Yeah.
And then strategically choosing the grains.
That align with those.
That best align with those, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I find so empowering about this whole grain journey.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not about following a set of rules.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the tools.
that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, exactly. And using them wisely.
To create a dietary pattern that supports our well-being.
I love that.
It's about becoming informed consumers.
Yes.
Making choices that nourish our bodies.
And align with our values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am feeling inspired.
Me too.
To branch out beyond my usual whole grain routine.
I'm right there with you.
There's a whole world of delicious possibilities waiting to be explored.
Who knew these humble grains held such a wealth of benefits?
That's the beauty of a deep dive, isn't it?
It really is.
It's about uncovering those hidden gems of knowledge.
Yeah.
And emerging from the experience with a fresh perspective.
Absolutely.
So to all our listeners out there,
yeah,
we encourage you to embark on your own whole grain adventure.
Try new things.
Experiment with different types.
Explore new recipes.
And discover the power of these nutritional powerhouses.
They're amazing.
Until next time, happy exploring.